I'm not here to whisper sweet nothings in your ear. I'm not here to whisper sweet nothings in your ear, and you're not here because the truth is something you fear. Welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. It's primary night. It is primary night, and well, there's some things that are already given. Stacey Abrams, it's a done deal. She's the Democratic nominee. That's a wrap. The question is, going down the line, is she actually? She spent the last several years building a machine, so it's going to be interesting seeing what happens. Yeah, I think she's too formidable for them. This rematch is not going to go like it did last time. But the story that we're starting with, Luther Campbell, Uncle Luke. Now, in fact, just quick question: do y'all know? Because I'm an old, I'm an old head, so I realized, wait a minute, there's a lot of youngins out here that may not actually know who Luke is. So put a one in the chat if you know who Luke is. If put a two in the chat if you don't know who Luke is. Because yeah, I grew up. Well, I'm not gonna say I grew up listening to his music. I grew up not being allowed to listen to his music. What the? Okay, let me see what's going on with this. Let me just make a quick adjustment. Huh, okay, that's odd. But one, okay, yeah. Luke's music was like the people that they complain about their music today that got nothing on Luke, because Luke, his music was raw, and his videos, whew, damn, his music, his videos, and to put it in perspective about how raw his music was, they took him to court. Well, in fact, okay, so the police, they didn't want his music being played, so they were like stopping people and businesses from selling it. So he had to wind up taking them to court to allow his music to be played. He took them to I forgot, at the district level. I think he won. No, I think at the district level they won. At the appellate level, he took it to the 11th Circuit, and at the 11th Circuit, he won. And they said, no, you can't. You gotta you have to let his music be sold. You can't interfere with his music, because they were trying to say his music was just obscenity, and so that's why it shouldn't be being played. But he, on Sunday, he put out a tweet, and in his tweet, it was, some people are upset about his tweet because they're saying, "Oh, he's encouraging people not to vote." Some people looked at his tweet and was like, "Okay, listen, he's asking valid questions." And then there's even another group that's like, he's making valid criticisms, like Democrats suck. That's what some people were saying. So he said, "Okay, listen, let's have a space." Twitter, because Twitter has this spaces thing now, where everybody can basically, it's like Clubhouse. And yes, I did. That's okay. So yeah, the shooting. I know more details is still coming in, and I know that the discussion. I'll touch on it a little bit later on, but like, I have some ideas of what some of the things we should be talking about that we're not talking about. But yeah, I'll get into that later on too. Definitely. Yeah, it's because when I first heard of it, I thought they weren't releasing numbers. So I was like, okay, it sounds like they stopped him quick enough. And then I saw the numbers come out. I'm like, oh man, that's bad. That's really, really bad. But he did the Twitter space, and it was interesting because you had a lot of different perspectives. Um, and welcome, Abdul Russell. Welcome, Chris Brown. Welcome everybody who's watching. you had a lot of different perspectives, and that was it was I think it was a great I think it's a great conversation to have. There's some people who don't want the conversation to happen. I think the conversation, it's good that the conversation is happening, and it needs to happen more. And okay, you remember him from his old reality TV show. Let's see, look, reality show. I don't remember that. Okay, okay, what that was? It was called Luke's Parental Advisory. Okay. Um, yeah, his music was quite the woo. Wow. Like I said, I wasn't even allowed to listen to his music growing up. So I would be at school. I'd be at school, and other kids is playing it. Like, so if another kid has a Walkman, they'll start playing it, and I'm like, wow, this, because I grew up in a very religious family, so I'm like, oh, that's hold up, that's too much, but yeah, his so when his stuff would get played on the radio, you'd hear the clean versions, and yeah, like the beat of Doodoo Brown, that it's a catchy song, so catchy. The uncut lyrics are crazy. The cut lyrics is just like, okay, yeah, it's something to dance to. And it's up tempo, some great. It is really, really great music. But like when you, like I said, those uncut lyrics, when you start listening to his uncut lyrics, you realize, wow, he was going in, and that's why a lot of people didn't like him. Even there was people in Congress that was going after him and trying to have him shut down. Like, oh, this music is warping our children's minds. And it's interesting to see. It's interesting to see right now rappers who were considered just, oh, they're just entertainers, and still some people try to say that now. Oh, they're just entertainers, and they won't take these individuals seriously. But these cats have gotten a certain amount of success, and now they have a perspective. They're like, wait a minute, this system doesn't seem to be working. We need to do something different. And some people get mad when they do that because they're like, oh, you're just a rapper. What do you know? And I say there's a couple of ways to look at it. One, school them on what they need to know. And two, how much of some of the people that are criticizing them is like just valid criticisms, and how much is it them like trying to protect something they have. Because there are people that have their own interest that they're thinking of, but like, what about the people? In fact, because I'm here in New York City, and it's rough here in New York. It is rough in terms and at different levels. So if you want to just talk about, hey, Alchemist, hey y'all, it's rough out here, and so like violence wise. So in fact, I did a live stream. No, I did a video Sunday morning talking about how people are talking about guns, and that there's people who are saying that because there's a Supreme Court case going, we don't need that are going to potentially change the gun laws in New York. And there's some people like, oh no, it's going to be crazy. You don't want people. Then also people are going to be on the subway trains with guns. And in the oral arguments, Alito said people are already on the subway with guns, and people are like, that's a lie. I did that video Sunday morning. Before Sunday was over, at least two people had gotten shot on the subways in New York City. Before that day was over, one person was shot and killed. One person shot himself. He was in a dispute with somebody else, pulled out his gun, wound up shooting himself in the foot, and and then he ran off. But it's like, yeah, it's right there. So there's like, people are suffering. Crime is high in places like New York. People, and I get why, because if we haven't recovered from 2020, and politicians keep doing stupid policies that aren't making things better. So I'm like, listen, when is somebody actually going to start fighting for the people? When is somebody actually going to be helping the people out? So if, like, just to let people, summer's here, and this is going to be like the summer where we can actually enjoy our summers potentially, where we're not, all masked up and everything. It seems to be that much we've gotten past, but now we've got to worry about, other things. So I'm hoping that, like, we really gotta, it's good to have people out there that have made it, that have gotten successful, and that haven't forgotten about everybody else. That's why so when Cube comes out and says something, when Luke comes out and says something, and they're not going to get everything right, but the fact that they're concerned, I think that's a great thing. That's a great thing. And I salute those brothers, because they're like, hey, who's looking out for the rest of our people? Who's, like, the whole point, it's like you're in the hood, you were drowning, you got out of the water, and then you toss a life a life, what do you call those things? You toss something back, pull people out. Like, that's the goal. That should be the objective. And Alchemist said that my video on anti-black hate crime bill echoes my sentiments. Yeah, yeah, because, yeah, we need solutions. I'm with solutions all day long, but meaningless symbolism isn't a solution. Like, just saying something, putting, oh, the Buffalo 10, crime bill. If you want to honor them, in fact, we can move for them to have something honoring the Buffalo 10, and that's just like a resolution honoring them, remembering them, and then realize that that is what it is. But we still need to be doing things over here to be protecting ourselves, and to be, because even like how they're talking about with the how that town in Buffalo is suffering, because, like, that was its main food source. Everybody goes there to shop, and now people are like, I'm like, man, ribs is touching for real out here. People are really out here trying to make it, struggling every day, and it's tough. But if black men speak up, they will always get pushed back, as it's general belief that it's time for women to lead. Well, here's the thing. That may, some people may have that belief, but it's incumbent upon men to just say, no, we're men, we're going to do the leading. That's it. There's nothing to talk about. Okay, that's nice. I'm going to keep leading and keep doing what we need to be doing, because I'll see cats, talking about, oh, they won't let us be men. Like, let us? How are they going to stop us from being, like, you're not, I'm not asking for permission to be a man. I'm a man. I'm going to be a man. I'm going to do what a man needs to do. That's it. And so, and if it's in terms of a relationship where, oh, well, she wants to, oh, it's got to be, I'm not, I'm not going to let a man tell me what to. Okay, cool. Then I'm not the man for you. That's not a problem. And and that's all dudes have to say. There's nothing to complain about. If a woman doesn't want to be in a relationship where she defers to a man's leadership, cool. That's not the woman for you. You're not the man for her. You keep it moving. She keeps it moving. Everything, no harm, no foul. But there's no use of of brothers out here like, why won't they let us? No, just be a man. That's it. But I do want to get into this whole Luther thing because there was a lot of stuff on Twitter. So let's start off with. In fact, do I have it shared yet? No, I don't have it shared. Let me get that screen. Um, what is it? Is it window? Luke pictures. Okay, there we go. So let me. Yeah. So these tweets, because there's a bunch of them, and a bunch of people had stuff to say. So I think it's actually going to be interesting to see some perspectives, because some of the perspectives were, what just happened? Okay, there we go. Okay, here we are. So, in fact, yeah, this isn't. I don't want to start with this one. This woman, Sherilyn Knife, and I don't know if you'll know Gwen Eiffel. She was like a commentator. She was on PBS, and she was a really she passed, but she was a really strong commentator. And in fact, like there was one thing I really saw from her that really sticks out in my mind, and she did like a town hall called After Ferguson. So that was a really good one. So here we got Luther. Okay, hold on. Let me just, before I get to that, I know you have seen how Ice Cube. Oh yeah, I saw that. Definitely. I definitely saw that. But here we have the tweet from Luther. Give me 5 reasons why Black people should vote in the next election. Give me 5 promises that has been fulfilled by politicians in the last election, mayor and president. Let's give him a hand of applause. Let's give him a hand of applause. For real. Because for real, that needed to be said. That question, that needed to be thought about, that needed to be talked about, that needed to be, this question definitely needed to be, because now the point is, what's the answer? What's the answer? Some people are saying there is no answer, and he's trying to, some people are saying he's trying to say there's no answer. But by the way, Zach Lad, you say it's going to be a long wait for that answer. But here's my question: Is there anybody in the chat that thinks there is an answer? Because I want to, this isn't. I'm not here right now to do, hey, Democrats bad, let's bash the Democrats. I'm here to say, let's have a discussion. Let's talk about this. Let's actually figure out where everybody's coming from. So listen, because in response to this, he winds up having the Twitter space, and he invites Jamel Hill and Joy Reid, because both Jamel Hill and Joy Reid responded to this. Sherilyn Eiffel, she responds later after the Twitter space. I think it was like the next day. So he didn't invite her because she hadn't responded yet. But they respond, and they're, pro-Democratic Party. But the question is, why are they pro-Democrat? Now, if I'm looking at it from purely, they have a personal vested interest in the success of the Democratic Party, especially Joy Reid. Joy Reid has an MSNBC show. She has access to Democrats all across the spectrum, all across the, state, local, federal, everything. Democrat, they just love to go on her show, love to give her access. That gives her views. That's her career. So her career is inextricably linked with the Democratic Party right now. And Jamel Hill to a lesser degree, because she's got her show. she's not on Sports Center anymore, so she's got a show and she does a lot of political talking. In fact, that's one of the reasons why she's not on Sports Center, because they were like, "Oh, we don't want you talking politics." Okay, and so now she does her political slash sports discussions on her show. She has a YouTube channel, everything. So they have a personal vested interest. But is that all? That may not be all. But I think it's not fair for us to not acknowledge it. And I don't think it's, and if I'm having a discussion with them, I'd say the same thing. You have a personal vested interest. Your personal success is tied to the success of the Democratic Party. So right then and there, the question is, are they willing to acknowledge that as we have this discussion? But like I said, everybody, if you believe that there are 5 black promises that have been fulfilled, or 5 reasons, if you believe that black people should be voting, period. Because actually, think about it. I've put Democrats in this equation. Joy Reid and Jamel Hill put Democrats in this equation. Look at this tweet. Luther Campbell never mentions Democrats. He never mentions Democrats. All he says is, give me 5 reasons why black people should vote. He never mentions Democrats. And I just realized that. I said, wow, he never mentioned Democrats. But it's amazing who took that personally, It's interesting. But my whole point is, if you think that black people should continue to vote, go ahead and put a 1 in the chat. If you think black people shouldn't be voting because it's no use, go ahead and put a 2 in the chat. While you're doing that, I'm going to just take a look at some of these chats. Tacklet, okay, Alchemist. Jay, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream, Jay. Jay the Informate. The answer is standard. The Republicans are standing in the way. Okay. 2. Okay. 2. Okay, so we've got a lot. We've got some 2s. We've got a lot of 2s. I am actually gonna say, in fact, I'm gonna put a number in the chat. I'm gonna put a number in the chat now. I'm gonna put a number in the chat, and this number might surprise you. Because wait, 1 is, I gotta remember, I said 1 is that we should, right? So, yeah, so I believe, yes, we should vote in the next election. However, I'm not necessarily saying we should vote for Democrats. I'm also not saying we should vote for Republicans. But this is what the discussion never gets to. I started to get to this discussion, this point with Roland Martin, and he suddenly stopped responding. Because like I've seen Roland Martin go back and forth with people on Twitter, and with some disrespectful stuff, and he'll insult people. We were having a very respectful discussion. I responded, and I hit him with some stuff, and he just stopped responding. Now, maybe he's just busy. Maybe he's taking care of stuff because, hey, he's running his own business. I get it. He doesn't have time to just play on Twitter all day. Cool. But that's why I will keep on pushing this, because I'm like, yeah, we need to talk about this. There's a solution. I know there's a solution. And like sometimes we look at it and we just throw our hands up because it's frustrating. But I know there's a solution. And as more people realize there's a solution, I think that's going to make, number one, that's going to make our lives better, because now we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Number two, like having some hope, because there's a lot of hopelessness right now. But like once people realize, wait a minute, we got this. we can actually do something about this. We can actually get some stuff solved. We can actually make some changes. We can actually solve some problems, and we don't have to just sit back and wait as the powers that be do the nonsense they're doing. We can do this our way. We can actually help the people. We can actually start living and enjoying our lives and not have to just struggle. Like that's what I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to getting to a point where and so like I like the question that they had asked me a couple of weeks ago when I was on Lapeef, and they was like, "Are you gonna stay in the Bronx?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah," because my goal isn't to run from the Bronx to Midtown Manhattan and then like, oh, I'm glad I'm out of there. No, my goal is to get to a point and start helping people up. Like, yo, we can all do this. Like, I know we can do this, and I know what it's gonna take. But like right now, there are people who are pretending to be here to help, and they're actually in the way. So once we get them out the way, we can actually hold on one second. Yeah, sorry about that. There's a this tweet from Jamal Bowman. Okay, so yeah, you've got this tweet from Jamal Bowman, who his 5 reasons. Now he caught some flack for this because his 5 reasons are: the American Rescue Plan made historic investments in black school districts. Two, Ketanji Brown Jackson. Three, this is the one that really got him some flack on this. I am the first black man to hold this seat in U.S. history. How that in listen, I'm happy for you, Jamal. I'm happy. In fact, let's give him a quick round of applause. Okay, let's give him that. He got a couple of claps for that. But how does that improve the the rest of our lives? You know what I'm saying? I'm happy for you. Like I said, he gets that half applause. But how does this help the rest of us? You know what I'm saying? Um, and then he says the American Rescue Plan cut black child poverty of 34%, and then five, authorizing historic investment in minority business development. Okay, number one, that minority. A lot of people catch that. Like, wait a minute, what exactly do you mean by minority? Because you'll see that they'll use minority as a catch-all to avoid having to ask the question, answer the question, what did you do for the black community? Because let's keep it real, this government in historically has had no problem doing things to the black community. No problem whatsoever. They've had no problem specifically targeting the black community to harm the black community. So when people are asking, well, what are you going to do for the black community? Uh, Rightfully so, people don't want to hear, well, minorities. Whoa, that's not the question. But Ketanji Brown Jackson, like I can see in the chat, that's not for yeah. Like what are you doing? That's helped Ketanji Brown Jackson. Listen. That was definitely a reason for Ketanji Brown Jackson to vote for to be happy voting to vote for Biden. hands down. I will not be mad at Ketanji Brown Jackson for voting for Joe Biden, for supporting Joe Biden. Why? It was in her personal interest. Absolutely. Jamal Bowman. I'm the first black man. Like, once again, that's nice. That's a nice piece of trivia. How does it help? Because we need. Come on. How does it, like? I want to see. I want to see that. Okay, guess what? We got less black men in prison now. We've got the sentences getting cut. We've got the war on drugs is over. We're not sending black men to jail for nonviolent drug crimes. We're not sending black young women to jail for sex work. Now they can actually go about, if that's what they choose to do, they can go do it in a safe environment and be protected instead of having to do it hiding and underground where they're being victimized by Johns, by pimps, and by police. Like, there's a way to actually start, like, by one thing. Let's take the boot off of the people's necks. That's just one thing. Let's just now schools. How do we make it so that our young people are graduating from these schools and thriving, thriving, thriving? Because I'm not just talking about getting. Oh, yes, we have a 90% graduation rate, and 80% are working at McDonald's, Target, and Walmart. What? That's 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 not like 13 years. We could be doing better than that. And I'm not saying that I'm saying the school system could be doing better than that after 13 years. After 13 years of public school education, I want to see our kids doing more than working at Dwayne Reed. I want better than that. 13 years, you should be getting our kids a lot better than a job at Dwayne Reed at Walgreens. Like, that's not good. CVS, what? Okay, so yeah, so we had a bunch of twos. Some crazy guy wrote one. Then says, I don't believe in democracy as much. Okay, so, but I will get into why I put one on that. I will get why. I will get into that. On the federal level, two, but on local, state, definitely one. Uh, we got by making demands to DM cosmic chaos. We got to by making demands see who offers the better deal. The Dems taking our votes for granted for too long. Well, the key thing to negotiate is you got to be willing to walk away. Like, if you're not willing to walk away from the table, there's no negotiation. You're hostage. So if you're offering me, if I'm like, okay, I want to buy your car, and you're like, okay, it's a used Toyota 2012. It's a 2012 Toyota. What, 500,000 miles on it. It's got a couple of dings on it. I'm selling it to you for $10,000. I'll be like, nah, that's too much. You'll be like, okay, you just wasted 5 minutes of my time. Now it's $12,000. Now, if I'm not willing to walk away from the table, guess what? It's not a negotiation. I'm a hostage. If I need that car, and you just say 12,000, and I'm like, wait, hey, like, I mean, you don't have to put it up. Maybe we could do the 10,000, and you're like, no, I don't like your attitude. 14,000. Now you realize you've got me, like, I'm a hostage. So this isn't it no longer it ceases to be a negotiation, and now it's a hostage situation. And the black community has been hostages right now for a long time. Like, we need some negotiators to get in there and actually start making things. Hey, we've got demands. This is how this is going to be going. But in order for it to be negotiation, we have to be willing to walk away from the table. That's the key. Because if we're just going to stay there and say, they'll say, okay, you know what? In fact, not only are we not going to give you the George Floyd bill, we're actually going to nominate the architect of mass incarceration to run the country. You know, the guy that made that made all of these laws that there needs to be criminal justice reform for? That's the guy that's going to be president. And we'll be like, um, uh, I don't know if you ever watched Seinfeld. There's an episode of Seinfeld where dude Kramer, yeah, the racist dude, he's he gets burned. So he gets burned by coffee. And it's like so it's a spoof of that whole McDonald's situation. He gets his lawyer, this dude that's like supposed to be Johnny Cochran. They call him Jackie Charles. And the dude's like, okay, listen, we've got a meeting with the fast food company. We're gonna see if they're willing to settle. He says, now what you need to do is follow my lead. You don't say nothing. Just I'll do the negotiating. I'll do the negotiating. You just sit there and listen. Don't say nothing. Let me handle this. I'm the lawyer. I'm an attorney. I know how to do this. I know how to negotiate. So Kramer's like, okay, yeah, great. He says, okay, so be ready tomorrow. We go there. We meet with them. You come with me, but you don't say anything. I'll do all the talking. So later that day, he gets a bomb from somebody. He puts a bomb on the burn. When he wakes up in the morning, the burn is gone. The bomb has completely healed his burn. So he goes and tells Jack, he's like, so I'm ready for the meeting, but I put a bomb on and the burn is completely gone. He says, what? He says, I didn't tell you to do that. He says, well, I didn't know it was going to work. He said, then why did you put it on? So he goes, okay, listen, here's the thing. Still, we stick to the plan. You don't say anything. Hopefully they don't want to see the burn. If they do, like, we'll have to figure something out, but you just shut up. Don't say anything. I'll do all the talking. So they go into the meeting. They sit down, and before they went into the meeting, the people were talking, and they were like, "Okay, listen, we want to make this go away as quickly as possible. So let's offer him $50,000 and free coffee at all of our locations." They said, "Okay, that's where." They said, "So how far are we willing to go?" He says, "Well, we got to start there. Hopefully, we won't have to go too much farther, but let's start with that, and let's see if they like that deal." So Kramer and Jackie Childs goes in, and they say, "Okay, listen. Now we've heard about it. We understand that you've went through a significant amount of pain, and so, Mr. Kramer, we are prepared to offer you free coffee at all of our establishments." And Kramer jumps up, "I'll take it." So Jackie Childs loses it. So he gets the free coffee. That's all he gets. Because before they could even get to the $50,000, he jumped up and he took the deal. We've been taking the deal. I'll take it. We've been doing that for far too long. We got to sit back, listen, and go, is that the best you can do? You know what? I think we need to hear some other offers. Like, I think we need to hear some, because in 2020, they hit us with, we're prepared to give you free coffee, and it was Joe Biden, and a bunch of us jumped up and said, we'll take it. And we're like, Jim Clyburn was right there, we'll take it, with Joe Biden, the architect of mass incarceration, and we can see he's still on the foolishness. We know he's still on the foolishness because we see the stupid stuff he's still talking about. Ketanji Brown Jackson. Well, you see, that's what I'm saying. It's great for her. That's a great moment for her. That doesn't necessarily translate for us as a whole. And so, even when it comes to what's a judicial philosophy, that's going to be a factor. There was a case that came down yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday because yesterday was Monday. So there was a case that came down yesterday with prisoner appeals. Horrible decision. I still have to finish reading it, but like the point with what they got to of lessening habeas corpus is just really horrible. But there's a bunch of people that will sit there and say, "Oh, you see, this is what happens to Republicans," but they won't know that I know that, hey, habeas corpus was already gutted by Bill Clinton and Joe Biden. 90. Okay, wait a minute. Because the AEDPA did the habeas. I'm not sure where. I got to double check what Biden had to do with the AEDPA. So the Anti-Effective Death Penalty Act. I'm pretty sure he voted for it, but I want to know if he had a bigger role than just voting for it. Cause she's not. He's one of those think black faces are good enough. The 5 points made by oh, let me see if I have. Okay, so yeah, so this woman responded to him. Stop the virtue signaling. You've done nothing to help the American people. You couldn't even force the vote during a pandemic. Okay, so now what she's talking about is Pelosi. Pelosi was up for to be the Speaker of the House, and there was a bunch of progressives. Well, okay, so there were a bunch of people in the progressive, um, community outside, like not in Congress, but in the in the general public that were like, okay, this is the opportunity. We've got several progressive minded candidates in the House of Representatives, and what they need to do is say, okay, listen, we're not going to vote for Pelosi as Speaker of the House until you give us a vote for Medicare for all, a vote on a $15 national $15 minimum wage. So these are things that the progressives wanted, and that the your AOCs, your Ilhan Omars, I Cory Bushes, and them. This is what they had said. Okay, boom, we're standing on this. When so, like I said, a bunch of people were pushing for this. Like this is what needs to happen. When it came down to votes, the progressive candidates, the so-called progressive candidates, were like, no, we don't want to rock the boat. Yeah, forcing the vote isn't actually, it'll just piss people off. It won't actually get things accomplished, so we're not going to do it. And so this is what she's talking about, because a lot of people were pissed off. Like, no, like y'all needed to put their feet to the fire, and y'all needed to make people put up or shut up. You needed to make people go to the point where they could say, okay, I stand. I'm not just saying I stand for this, but I'm actually putting my vote where my mouth is. You know what I'm saying? And now I don't have to necessarily agree with these policies, but if this is why you voted for these people, then they should be giving you the things that they promised you. Then they should be doing the things that that they promised that they would do, and that you voted for them to do. I think there's better solutions than Medicare for all, than $15 minimum wage. And I think like something with the $15 minimum wage, I think it's a short-sighted solution. Question: I think it's a short-sighted response, because it's not actually a solution, and all it does is it's a temporary. It's a bump in the nominal wage, and not the, because there's a difference between the nominal and actual wage. So even though the nominal value, the number may increase, what it can actually purchase, the purchasing power of that dollar, isn't going to be the same. So it seems like you have more money, but then the prices go up with it. Inflation goes up with it. Wage, businesses start charging more, because that happened here in New York. We went to a $15 minimum wage, and then the prices jumped up, and people were like, "What happened?" And I'm like, "This is what a bunch of people were talking about." I was one of them. I've got videos back in, I think, 2017 talking about how the $15 minimum wage is not a good idea. I remember there was a time when I thought it was a good idea, and now I realize, okay, no, there's ripple effects. Everything's just going to course correct. And I mean, so what happens is, let's say fast food places start charging $15, paying their employees $15 an hour. Now what they're going to do is, so they're going to raise prices for food a little bit, but they're going to do a couple of other things. One, they're going to cut back on hours, and we watched this happen. We watched, because now there used to be a bunch of stuff that was 24 hours. We watched 24-hour places in New York City just disappear. There was the 14 Union Square, Staples, 24 hours, Best Buy, 24 hours, gone. The both of those locations are still there, but they close at like 8 o'clock now. So it's crazy. They went from 24 hours to under 12. They went from like 24 hours to 10 hours. Like Best Buy does 10 to 8 now. It cut its shifts. It cut its hours by 16 hours. Wait. No, yeah, that's no, that's not right. It's 10 to 8 would be 10 hours. 10 hours. So we cut it by 14 hours, not 16 hours. So cut it by 14 hours. So think about all the people whose shifts got cut. So now they're doing less hours, they're getting less money. Then one of the other things that these companies do is they change the ingredients and quantities of their products. So they start using cheaper ingredients, thereby affecting the quality of whatever it is, and they change the quantity of their products. So now you're getting less of it. You pay a little bit more, but you're getting significantly less now. And you're like, because I've seen it across the board. Even though I stopped messing with fast food, I started seeing it across the board in even in other products. So there's a bunch of products that you'll see. I saw they started changing packaging to cheaper packaging and with smaller quantities in the packaging. I'm like, wow, these people. But we knew this was going to happen. And then there was businesses that were smaller businesses that just folded because they couldn't keep up with with the extra money they had to spend on employees. And there are people who say, oh, well, if you can't afford it, then you shouldn't have a business. And I'm like, that actually means that poor people, middle class people, shouldn't have businesses. That's what you're saying. You're saying that the only rich people should have businesses. And so you're making it harder for people to be mobile, to go from down to make it. You're making it harder for people to actually move on up. And that's a problem. So I think a better solution is focusing on helping people get from, okay, you make minimum wage. How do we get you to from having a minimum wage job to owning a business where you maybe are employing minimum wage workers, and we can keep the cycle going where it's like, boom, you one day you were working at a restaurant, at a fast food place. In a couple of years you own your own franchise location. But to do that, we can't be making things harder for people to start a business and run a business. um, they refuse to educate students on what they actually need, and that's one of the things I'm talking about: economics, finances, data analysts. And so yeah, I keep talking about how, imagine if kids went to school and learned how to write business plans instead of resumes. Because when the first time I learned how to write a business plan was in prison. So you had cats in there, like, and that's one of the things I really liked about the feds. That's one of the things I really liked about the feds. I was around a whole different type of, like, I'm around individuals that were doing stuff at much higher levels. So I'm exposed to people that are operating on a different level. And it's like, okay, yeah, now I'm starting to see the bigger picture. And I'm starting to see that, okay, wait a minute. Yo, this can what I'm used to. I'm from the hood. I'm used to seeing like nothing major. But now I'm around cats that was messing with millions or more out in the street. And so some of them, well, yeah, if obviously they're inside, clearly they weren't doing something legal, but they still have access to a wealth of information. So I got to be around cats that would, like, would be able to break down how they were making money, how they were managing money. And I think that's one of the things. If we let these youngins in the street see this, like kids that don't see nothing but the corner, the corner and the that's as far as they could see. If they could see more than that, they'd realize, whoa, I do have options. If they can't see it, then they can't work towards it. It's going to be really hard for them to work towards something that they don't see. So it's like, yeah, we got to let these kids see there's there's more. In fact, so one of the cats that I was in with, he had actually started a nonprofit doing something like that. Unfortunately, he's back in right now, so ah, that's a long story. That's a long story. Dr. Umar's school has a 100% graduation. Oh man, man. uh, that was a good one. Thank you, Amateur Russell. Yes, like the stream, people. Barely takes a second. Just hit that thumbs up. Definitely does great for the algorithm. Really appreciate it. And thank you, Amateur Russell. Uh, but yeah, this wasn't the only response. Okay, so this is actually somebody who's pro Democrat, likes the Democrats, supports them, and he's like, okay, Democrats are for equality. Democrats will upgrade American infrastructure. Democrats help disable people. Democrats believe in science and climate change. Democrats believe in women and daughters. All of these things are important for Black people. So he took a bunch of talking points from the Democrats, and yeah, he's being so. It's almost as if he doesn't, because Luke asked something specific, and so at the end he tries to tie this into Black people. And now you got to do better than that. You got to do better than that. I'm just saying. I'm not saying like let's assume all of these things are accurate. You got to do better than that. You got to do better than that. And like Black people want some tangibles, because the things that have dismantled Black wealth in this country weren't as amorphous and hands off as the solutions that they keep proposing. Okay, so let's actually go to one of the things that Joy-Ann Reid said. This is from Joy-Ann Reid, and then Luke responds to her. So Joy-Ann Reid says, because with the sizable Black vote, the Republicans who take over will further erode our voting rights. 2, ban our history from schools. 3, enact forced birth laws that disproportionately target Black women. 4, criminalize our right to protest. And 5, cut our access to healthcare. Okay, that's why I say to Joy Reid. I think she's wrong. Let me tell you why I think she's wrong. Further erode our voting rights. Number one, if we don't have a good option to vote for, the voting rights don't actually benefit us. They only benefit the party. They only benefit the Democratic Party. If the Democratic Party is getting our votes and we're not getting anything in return, that doesn't help us. Voting rights only helps them. But there's this point to the voting rights that she's not talking about. I'm going to get back to that point last. Ban our history from schools. Why would we want our history taught in schools by the system that has done a whole bunch of foul stuff to us throughout history? Like, as far as teaching our history, that's up to us. We have to teach our kids history. Like, this should be, and that's a component. So I think back, I can't remember since I've been an adult. I don't, because I'm single, so I don't have like family dinners, I can remember when I was smaller and we was a family and we would have family dinners. And I try to think about when that stopped. By the way, like I'm curious, how many of you out here have, like, how many of you have it now or had it when you were growing up, having a family dinner, and not just like once in a while, like on a regular basis, like y'all comes time for dinner, everybody has to come in, sit at the table, and eat together. Like it's everybody has to show up. There's like that's not an option. Family dinner, everybody's eating together. Because I remember when I was growing up, we'd have. I can remember waking up for breakfast. Boom. Okay, everybody, breakfast is ready. Come in here, eat your breakfast, and us being at the table eating together. Uh, so I could this. I'm gonna reveal how my sugar addiction started. So we like if we were having regular cereal, my mom would put the bowls out there, put the cereal on the table, put the milk there, and there's a sugar bowl here, and we can choose of the cereals we have. I'll choose something like a cornflakes or something like that, and you say, "Oh, that's good. It's not a lot of sugar. It's cornflakes, not frosted flakes, cornflakes." But here's what I'll do: I'll get my bowl of cornflakes. I'll pour the milk on it. I'll take 1 scoop of sugar, 2 scoops of sugar, 3 scoops of sugar. Okay. You're like, 3 scoops of sugar is a lot of sugar. Hold up. I'm not done yet. I'll mix it up just a little bit and then start eating, take a couple of spoons of the cornflakes. Then I'll go back to the sugar bowl. 1 scoop of sugar, 2 scoops of sugar, 3 scoops of sugar. Like, so I would. It actually got to the point where they would stop. Anybody would stop and look at me. They'd be like, "Are you gonna have any cereal with your sugar?" And so, but like I remember that so that's it was fun, but I don't see that happening nowadays. Where I don't know if that's happening nowadays because, like I said, I'm single. Um, I'm an adult now, so I wonder if people still have that. But like that's a time when we can sit down, we can joke, we can talk, and that's when the parents can actually start telling. Because I remember my parents would tell us stories about stuff growing up when they were younger, and that's one of the times you can do it. You can actually start teaching your kids about history, about the stuff that they need to know. And I think, especially about Black history, this is something we have the opportunity to do, sitting at a table, not waiting for somebody else to tell our kids about Black history. We tell our kids about Black history, at the dinner table, at the breakfast table, at the when we're sitting around just having some family time together. Because depending on the educational system to teach our kids about our history, do we really think they're going to tell our kids accurate history? Really? Then we get to forced birth laws, and the whole thing that that somehow this disproportionately targets Black women sounds kind of ridiculous to me, because her talking about forced birth laws ignores the fact that Roe versus Wade, the Supreme Court case that they will put up on this pedestal, and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Both of those cases say that the government can outlaw abortion. It's just a matter of when. Both of those cases say so. The cases that they're about to lose their minds over, because the Supreme Court's about to issue a decision overturning those, already say that the government can overrule, can force women to have their kids. The Both of those cases already say the government can prohibit abortions. Third trimester, the government can make rules saying it's against the law to get an abortion. So I don't. So there's no real to act like, the Republicans want to force you to give birth. Well, the law that you're bigging up right now already says abortions, banning abortion is legal. They just put a different date on it. That's the only difference between is what date they say you can or cannot ban abortions, that you can start banning abortions, criminalizing our right to protest. The whole And I talked about in the video I did. I talked about how in New York City they cracking skulls anyway, and this is a blue state, but it's worse than that because all of their rhetoric around January 6th, and defending the murder of what's this chick's name, Ashley Babbitt, defending the murder of Ashley Babbitt, praising this dude as a hero. I said, listen, I'm telling you, that's going to be a black woman next. That is going to be a black woman next. But they got a whole bunch of people to cheer for that because she was a MAGA a MAGA supporter, a Trump, like she was ridiculous, but yeah, but she was unarmed trespassing. She was an unarmed trespasser. They murdered her, and then you praised the cop that murdered her as a hero. And I said, listen, they're going to do that. It's going to be a black woman, and they're going to say, oh well, we have to protect public safety. That's going to be they're going because this was a preparation. This was a way to get people to co-sign the government doing some heinous stuff, and them saying, "Well, hey, listen, it was too dangerous. We needed to protect public safety. It was out of control." Like, no, that's by no means or any stretch of the imagination are Democrats the champions of protests. Democrats hate protesters. They just want to make sure protesters are protesting against the police and not against them. Because once you start protesting at legislatures and executive offices, then all of a sudden it's a problem. They'll tolerate to some lesser degree protesting against the police, but ever start protesting against the people that are actually making the laws, the people that are actually sending the police after us, then it's a problem. Cut access to healthcare. So even if you take a look, if you are a person that supports Medicare for all, if you are a person that supports government provided healthcare, these people haven't done anything for that. No, in fact, like they've actively, because there's a bunch of people like you have your Bernies who keep asking for Medicare for all, and they keep telling him, "Shut up, sit down. We don't want to hear from you." So I don't know how she's acting like the Democrats she supports support access, greater access to healthcare, and they're not even doing, and the stuff they're doing, it creates more red tape and makes it more expensive for those of us who have our own healthcare to pay for it. Now I want to get back to the further erode our voting rights, because this is key, and this is the point so many of us don't realize, so many of us don't know about. And what's up, D? What's up? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. Yes, shout out to Eden Wall. Um, and it was it was the point that the Democrat. Okay, if I don't have a good option to vote for, if all I have is, and I use the trash and garbage, litter and basura. If I these are the only things I have to choose from: crap and dung, lies and prevarications, poison and toxins. If these are the only things I have to choose from, I don't have much of a choice. So voting rights at the point of sale, and when I say point of sale, I'm talking about on November 7th. Those don't mean they don't mean that much, because this system and these politicians and these political parties have put so many added controls into the system before we even get to the point of sale. They've made November 7th voting almost valueless. The value is in choosing who's on that ballot on November 7th. But that's not, the Democrats aren't trying to expand that power. In fact, the Democrats are actively trying to restrict that power. They did it here in New York City. 2020, at the height, during the global pandemic, in the midst of the lockdown. April, they started the lockdown. Guess what? The first thing they did, one of the first things they did in April, early April, they changed the ballot access laws. They killed third parties in New York City during 2020, during the pandemic. So now we have less choices. Now it's harder to get on the ballot. Like right now, Larry Sharpe and them is busting humps trying to get over 50,000 signatures just to get on the ballot, despite the fact that he already got 90,000 votes, over 90,000 votes in 2018, which should have guaranteed libertarians a spot on the ballot. But they changed the rules. They changed the rules. And so that's when she says further erode our voting rights. She's not being honest. And this is one of the things I say, but so many of us don't know this, because if we're not seeing behind the scenes how the I forget how the saying goes, how the donuts are made, how the soup gets made or whatever. If we don't see how the soup gets made, we won't understand how they're actually rigging the game, because they're rigging the game before we even get to the ballot box. That by the time we get to the ballot box, they've already rigged it. But then he talks. He responds. He says, "In the last election, I voted for a George Floyd bill. Got nothing." He's right. Qualified immunity. Well, yeah, he says quantified, but he means qualified immunity. Got nothing. Right. Voter rights. Got nothing. Healthcare. Nothing. An infrastructure bill. Got it, but no way for black contractors' participation. And he says we control 3 branches of government. So people got on him about the whole 3 branches of government thing, because the 3 branches are legislative, judicial, executive. But what he means is both houses of Congress and the executive and the White House. Oh wow, I didn't realize you could do that. Cool. I'm really focused on the Black and Asian turnout. Sunday after church. Okay. Yeah. Yes, I did. So, okay. I didn't know he was okay, because I was waiting to see the description of the shooter. I heard that he's dead. I do want to know why, though. I do want to know why. And it was an elementary school, I heard. That's what's that angers me. That really makes me angry. Yes, absolutely. Man of culture. Cornflakes. Quit cereal, but man, I used to sugar about. Listen. It caught up with me. It caught up to me by after 2020. Because if you thought what I talked about I did with those cornflakes when I was a kid was something, what I did in 2020, and I'm gonna blame it on the pandemic. So I was working throughout the entire pandemic, but I was so at the job we had we have a refrigerator and locker room and everything, and we stock it up, and so like we all put our own stuff in there. I had I would put so I call myself eating healthy, drinking healthy. I stopped drinking soda for the most part. Every once in a while, I would drink soda, but whenever I drank soda, it would only be cherry Coke, but that would be every once in a while. But soda's poison. It's poison. But I said, okay, I'm going to drink juice. So I was drinking, orange juice, apple juice. I was drinking lemonade. And when I say lemonade, I mean like those store bought lemonades with tons of added sugar in it. Yeah. Like the iced tea with lemon with tons of added sugar in it. Yeah. That's what I was drinking. But I'm like, hey, it's not soda. It's not high fructose corn syrup. I don't see a problem. I was drinking so much of it, plus the ice cream. They opened up a Krispy Kreme about around my job. What I did during 2020, no bueno, no bueno, no good at all. And I paid for it. uh, what's up, D? I praised Officer Bird on my channel, but it's more just to draw the rights logic back at them to piss them off. Yeah, so I know Lucas does that too. He goes in on Ashley Babbitt. Funny how they want to back the blue only when it goes against a specific group. And I saw some people talking about how where is the back the blue with what's his brother's name? His name isn't Aaron Carter. The brother that's so it's Echo Escaping. My Twitter is at Echo Escaping. So yeah, the cop that was working as security in Tops. It's going to come back and bite them in the ass, though. Biden and the Dems will lose in the next election. It's not looking good for them. It is not looking good for them. I don't think Officer Bird the hero, but Ashley Babbitt was not a victim. She was an Air Force captain invading the U.S. Capitol. So I hear you, but I watched that video over and over again. She was unarmed, and she's trespassing because I'm looking at it. I actually said, okay, like I did that whole was it oh my memory is gone today for some reason. The what's that Matthew McConaughey movie? Time to Kill. Time to Kill. Matthew McConaughey, Samuel L. Jackson, right? That whole close your eyes. Imagine this happens. Imagine this this lady is banging on the window. She's got no weapons on her. She starts climbing through the window and they shoot her. Now imagine if she's black. So I did that whole thing and I'm like there's no way if that happens, it's not a Trump supporter. There's no way to this. I don't justify it as a Trump supporter, but there's no way that a lot of the people, so the government people, because there's a bunch of these Democrats that pretend to be on the side of the people, the politicians, but they're not. But there's a bunch of people that, because Ashley Babbitt was a MAGA, she's crazy. Okay, let's keep it real. Ashley Babbitt was crazy. Ashley Babbitt needed some help. She didn't get the help she needed, but anyway, if it wasn't Ashley Babbitt, like that would have been something where people would have been like that's crazy. Like people would have, and I get it. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm not siding with the government on this one. That's some bull, some absolute garbage. Unarmed, just climbing through the windows. Like she's she's not even. She's like halfway through the window. So like at that point, she's not even capable of doing anybody any harm. But listen, yeah, the way that the right, and that's what I'm saying, that's what makes no sense. The fact that the same people that will sit here and pretend like George Floyd deserved to die, Ahmaud Arbery deserved to die, Breonna Taylor deserved to die, but Ashley Babbitt, like what? We're at a tipping point, and I think this is actually going to tie into what I was kind of avoiding for now. We're at a tipping point where we have a problem. We have a problem, a huge problem in this society, and this so-called society, so-called civilization, and it's a like we are really getting to a point where thinking is out the window. Like we're not doing anything as, and I'm not saying all of us. I'm saying as the masses of us are not actually thinking. Like thinking is not even an issue. We just react now. We're just doing this reactionary nonsense, and we're doing it like in a lot of times on these team sports lines. And so something will happen, and we'll look around and be like, okay, wait, what is my team doing? Are we for this or against this? And if our team is against it, then we're against it. And we're not just against it a little bit. We're like balls to the walls against it. And we're willing to tear shit down. Like we're willing to just to rip people apart, hurt people, kill people. Like we put zero thought into it except to ask the question, is my team what is my team doing? And then once my team picked a side, we're just willing to go all out against the other side on that issue, despite the fact that we've done nothing to actually come to a conclusion that okay, this is a smart decision. This makes sense. And I think that's why we're in a place where we can see more crazy stuff happening. That's why we're at a place where we've got people keep looking at the gun. Oh man, we got to get these guns. And I'm like, I'm looking at the person that decides that it makes sense to go into an elementary school and start murdering children. I'm looking at the person. I also look at the person that thinks it makes sense, and here's why the difference. So I also look at the person who thinks that it makes sense to go and murder a bunch of people in the grocery store. Here's why I say it makes this difference, because I've seen that isn't new. That particular ideology has been a vicious, hateful ideology since its founding. That part isn't new. But we've seen people willing to just do that kind of thing for nothing, for no reason. I'm not saying I definitely don't think it's, I know it's not a good reason, but we're seeing people doing it just indiscriminately. Like they don't even have any, in Peyton's case, he hates black people. We know that those people exist. We've seen that throughout the history of this country, that there are these organizations that are devoted to the destruction and the death and the degradation and the decimation of black people. We know that. That's not new. This other stuff we're seeing, that stuff is like, what is that about? That stuff makes us just like, why? Why are seemingly like, why are people just going out and randomly murdering people, and it's random? See, because and that's the difference. Whereas this scumbag targeted black people, so it wasn't exactly random. There was a target. There was a source of people he was going after. You've got another group of people now that keep acting and are doing stuff just random. Let me just go somewhere and just start killing people. We're at a place in this society, and nobody wants to talk about it because so many people have been profiting off of it. So when we get to a place where people are putting no thought into anything, well, guess what? If people aren't thinking, that means they're easy to manipulate. So they serve my bottom line until that lack of thought, that lack of maturity, that lack of insight, that lack of wisdom manifest in very different ways. As long as they're doing something stupid, as in, I tell them to get mad at somebody and buy my hate the Democrats, buy my t-shirts, blue no matter who, hate the Republicans, buy my wait, no, okay, yeah, that I got it backwards. Hate the Republicans, buy my shirt, blue no matter who. Hate the Democrats, buy my shirt, red until you're dead. And that's good as long as I'm selling merchandise. But once that person decides, you know what, I just want to start. I want people to suffer. Like now, all of a sudden, now it's a problem, but people aren't looking at their complicity in fostering a society where we're not, like, are we even adults right now? Are we actually looking at things, at the world, and trying to be thoughtful human beings, thoughtful, responsible, reflective human beings? Are we actually thinking about anything? Are we actually looking at ourselves, trying to fix ourselves, trying to actually talk, communicate with each other, understand each other, solve problems? Are we doing any of that right now? Definitely. Very team sports. It's gotten so bad, a lot of people starting to make excuses or what about isms about these hate groups. Yeah, I mean, yeah, yes, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about because, like, yeah, with this team sports, there are people that are actually, like, they don't want to even acknowledge something that's historically established. Like this was in their mission statements. This was not a secret, and not even historically, contemporaneously acknowledged. Peyton Gendron said explicitly why he was doing what he was doing. But team sports has a bunch of people, has your Brandon Tatums, your Candace Owens, your Larry Elders, trying to make some excuse. What about black on black? Shut the fuck up. Really? Shut up. But that's where we're at right now. We're at a point right now where people don't want to think, but to satisfy their team, they'll say the dumbest stuff imaginable. They'll do the dumb, but the there are people who are profiting off of this, and they're like, okay, I'm not going to rock the boat. But I'm looking around and saying, like, listen, you don't see that these are consequences we're seeing as a result of this. We've got people that are just devoid of any type of, like, they're programmed, and the programming just goes haywire, and then a bunch of people are dead, and we're like, oh, well, what are we gonna do? Like, at some point, we're gonna have to address how broken people are and how much we're encouraging that brokenness because it serves some bottom line of ours. Unfortunately, I've gotten to a place where I'm not sympathetic unless black people are affected, and it's as a result of lack of empathy for black people by those team sports people. I hear you, man. It's profitable, and many of them are around nothing but white conservatives. You know, he's serious. Welcome, Afro Zephyr. Same here. I didn't want to be like that. They pushed me to become this way. Yeah, so, but I'm looking at it because, like, in fact, I want to look at it in terms of the shooting today. Today's shooting, 18-year-old kid. Why does he go to an elementary school? Because he's not the first one to have done this. We've seen this before. We've seen these older, like these, because he's an adult now. In fact, yeah, 18-year-old kid. He's an adult. He's 18 years old. He's an adult. An 18-year-old man goes to a school, murders children. Because I think it's an elementary school. We've seen this before. Going to murder children. I know the other week here in New York, somebody was in a shootout. They shot an 11-year-old girl, but she wasn't the target. This asshole didn't know how to shoot. He shot the little girl. Both of those dudes are in custody now. Why do you go to a school to murder children? Like, how broken are you inside? What are, like, seriously, how? And until we're willing to stop and look at, like, the problem, like, we've got a society of broken people right now who aren't doing any, and we're not trying to do anything to fix that. And we're ignoring the fact that this is going to get worse until we address the problem. Isn't the guns, the problem is the people. Because let's say we manage to get all the guns out, or all guns are magically eliminated. Then you'll have these same broken people running around stabbing people. You have these same people running around like throwing Molotov cocktails and stuff like that. And quite frankly, even if you want to ban guns right now with the technology, 3D printing technology, that ship has sailed. Because even I remember, and it goes to the story about sitting around the table talking with my parents and everything. I remember my mom telling us stories about how when she was younger, New York, that they had zip guns. Like they would make these guns basically, like with like a wooden block, and like it didn't have the projectile strength of a bunch of these weapons, but it was enough to kill a person. Like they had these makeshift guns they were making. This is back in the what 60s, 50s, 60s. They're making these guns that could kill a person, and now we've got technology that's even way beyond that. That ship has sailed. The issue is we're not focusing on the people. It's like the laws, the laws are broken, but guess what? The people are broken. The government is broken. Why? Because the people are broken. And until we start looking at the problem, which is the people, we're not going to have any progress. 18-year-old man kills 15. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, the black conservatives were the first to come out to deflect. That's what, and yeah, that part was just absolutely reprehensible. Absolutely it doesn't even make any sense. It makes no sense why they, but they're just, money is, for some of them it's just money. For some of them, like there's one individual I look at, Terrence Williams, I think that individual, like he talked about how he was adopted and stuff. I see somebody who's really lost and just desperate for validation from others. That's my take on it, on him, because like even as he went, I saw him doing. I think he wrote a book about going to the White House, not getting elected to the White House, not getting hired to the White House, about visiting the White House. Like that was the pinnacle of his achievement in life. The pinnacle of his achievement, like the pinnacle of success for him, was getting invited to the White House and sitting next to Donald Trump. Like that's a sad commentary for what you think of yourself, if that's the pinnacle of your success. Like that means you made it. That you got to sit next to this dude. Like that's just sad. Like this, I look at him as a sad individual. Okay, okay, the results are coming out now. Um, I'm actually gonna so the primaries, the polls have closed. The numbers are starting to come out. Um, yep, banning guns. Look at Europe; they ban knives, and there's still stabbings. Yeah, and like I said, this 3D printing changes the game. It absolutely changes the game. Before we go to the, I wanted to get to Sherilyn Eiffel, because she went in, and yeah, she had quite a lot to say. Yeah, all of this is her responding to him. Okay, so she starts off with, "Hello, Uncle Luke. Apparently, I'm late to this. Given what I do, it's important that I not allow cynicism and lack of information suggested by your question, and that I suspect many in the community share to go unchallenged. Your question is an opportunity." But okay, let's see if she gives the information, all of the information, or if she leaves a bunch of the information out. Jay. By the way, when Officer Tatum said he don't know who is his supporters, we all know that. Listen, he knows. Every time he writes something on Twitter or it looks in his comment section, he sees what they say. He knows. I got at Larry Elder today. Larry Elder says some stupid stuff about, oh, how come I'm the sellout? Ice T plays a cop. He says Ice T plays a cop on TV. Snoop does beer commercials, and then he says, "Who is it? Ice Cube plays a cop in, but I'm the sellout." I'm like, number one, you you're mixing fiction with reality. Number two, I'm like, you're the dude that went to Congress and argued against reparations, and then a whole bunch of his white supremacist supporters had stupid stuff to say to me. I'm like, yeah. There are elections for thousands of offices happening this year at the local, state, and federal level. When we fail to vote in these elections, we cede power. Now, here's the point: who's we? Because if we don't get to pick who these people are that's on the ballot, not just between the two choices we see on the ballot, but if we don't actually get to pick who the people are on the ballot, then we didn't cede power, we didn't have it. My mantra to voters in our communities is leave no power on the table. You seem to be in Florida, so I'll use it as an example. In Florida, scores of school boards are electing members. As you may be aware, school boards are currently engaged in fights focused on keeping students from learning Black history, so-called anti-CRT plans. Once again, why is it my primary concern whether or not white kids learn Black history? That doesn't make my life better. That doesn't give my child my that doesn't let my black children succeed because white kids learn Black history. Like, this is this kind of nonsense. But there are so many individuals, and I don't know if she's one of them, but I've seen it. Like, I've commented my perspective from what it seems like Hannah Nicole Jones is talking about. It seems like somebody who wants desperately to be accepted by this society. So, like, the whole integration mindset, and that's the whole point of, oh, we need white kids to learn about Black history. If white parents don't want their kids to learn about Black history, that's their issue. I'll let those parents raise their kids, and I'll make sure, and then we need to be making sure we raise our kids to be prepared for whatever they're raising their kids about. That's their kids, their responsibility. It's our responsibility to make sure our kids are raised and able to take care and protect themselves. That's what our job is. not worrying about whether or not white kids are learning to uh, know Black history. We have to make sure our kids know our history. In Florida, scores of school boards are electing members. As you may be aware, school boards are currently engaged in fights focused on keeping. Oh, okay, I did that. School boards also decide on textbooks, curriculum, and whether children are required to wear masks during COVID outbreaks. Decisions about the health and safety of our children. Like these are decisions we can make. Like I can decide whether or not my kids need to wear masks. But like with as far as the curriculum, let's just talk about how horrible these school systems have been on curriculum. I talked about how it takes 13 years and our kids are graduating to minimum wage jobs. The curriculums are absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. Um, Circuit court and county court judges will be elected in Pinellas, Orange, Miami, Hillsborough, and other counties. These are your basic trial court judges. They decide civil cases, criminal cases for felonies, as well as juvenile cases. We should care about who sits on these courts, right? We should care about who sits on these courts. But have you ever seen these ballots? So many times these ballots have no challengers. In other words, like let's say there's 3 spots for judges available. There will be 3 people running. That's it. So all 3 of those people are going to become judges. Like that's just a routine occurrence. And it works like that a lot of times because not anybody can just run for judge. Like if you're running for judge, you have to have a legal background so that you can actually do the job. But so many times the ballot is just full with the number of people that are actually going to be elected to that position. Circuit judges also rule on redistricting maps. Redistricting determines the balance of political power and the opportunity for meaningful representation for Black communities for the next decade. Once again, like it doesn't matter how they're doing this because they're making sure that they control the ballots. So even if we're in a district where you've got Black voters here, you've got Black voters there, you've got Black voters here, what choices are we being given on the ballot? And so the focus of us is what choices are we giving ourselves? But then that's why we have to go to war with the Democratic Party and the Republican Party because they keep doing stuff to limit our ability to choose to have other choices. Both of them will actively interfere with the rise and the existence of non-Republican and non-Democratic parties. Judges on Florida's state Supreme Court, your highest court, are also up for election. These judges are the last word on interpreting Florida law. Their decisions will affect, for example, abortion rights. There are county commission races in several counties, Florida this year. County commissioners are basically the legislators of your county. They determine infrastructure needs and allocations and levy taxes. Black people should care about this composition. Listen, Black people should care about, and what do Democrats do in terms of taxes? Do Democrats ever say, hey, you know what? We've got too many taxes. We should stop spending so much money. No, that's never what they say. So, like she's saying that we should care about what to do about people that tackle us, but the people she's supporting, the people she's advocating for, aren't actually doing these things to our benefit. Florida has a race for U.S. Senate here on the ballot. Senate is where judicial nominees are confirmed, where bills that can benefit us economically are decided. They have oversight of federal agencies. This is 50-50, often 48-52 split in the Senate right now. And once again, if you have senators like Senator Joseph Biden, that doesn't. We saw what Senator Joseph Biden did to Black communities in the 80s and 90s. This is part of the problem. Senators vote to confirm federal judges like the judges who ruled on your 1990 case, which you ultimately won in the 11th Circuit. There is a vacant 11th Circuit seat now and three vacant seats on the federal district court. Your senators will vote on who will be confirmed to those seats. Now, here's the funny thing. Here's the funny thing about what her mentioning this case. Her funny thing about her mentioning his federal case is that his case was before three federal judges. Two of those judges were Republicans. Two of the judges that ruled in Luke's favor were Republicans. One of them was appointed by Nixon. One of them was appointed by Carter. The other was I'm trying to remember who appointed him. Rehnquist. William Rehnquist actually appointed him. Right. So these three judges the judges she's talking about, two of them were Republican judges that ruled in Luke's favor when his case went before the 11th Circuit. But the Senate is also where bills that potentially address poverty, housing, and climate are decided. Once again, she's saying that this is the power they have, and she's ignoring the fact that this power has not been used in our benefit. Like she talks about us ceding power, and then demonstrates how powerless we actually are and the government actually is. And she's advocating for us to continue supporting these people who want this and more power over our lives. So actually what she's doing here by listing all of this stuff, she's actually giving us a master class in why we shouldn't be supporting these politicians, because they're exercising all this power over our lives and they want more. They want more. They're not content to just have the power, all of this power they already have over our lives. They want more. So when she's talking about these taxes, oh yeah, guess what? They want higher taxes. Just like Joe Biden promised, oh no, the taxes ain't gonna get higher. And then, oh, okay, well, listen, we're gonna have to tighten our belts, we're gonna have to make sacrifices. You lying bastard. But of course, I knew you were lying, and anybody who's paying attention knew you were lying. But now that's where we're at now. We're at a point where they keep doing things that are making things worse. Give me a second, please. Um, so again, the child tax credit. And by the way, so I also want to point out something, because something we a lot of us forgotten, because somebody actually at one point said, "Oh yeah, remember the the government giving us COVID relief?" And I remember, because a lot of us forgot, but and I had forgotten about it until I actually thought about it. I said, "Wait a minute." I actually remember how that went down, because they had promised Joe Biden promised $2,000 checks. They had promised $2,000 checks. They get into office and they says, "Oh, no, it's $1,400 checks because y'all got $600 already, right? So it's just the balance." And people are like, nah, you promised $2,000 checks. Like, you literally said that word, $2,000 checks. Like, that was one of the first things they did when they got into office. One of the first things they did when they got into office was let us know, we don't give a damn about y'all. I'm like, wow, it's got to be a wake up call. That's got to be a wake up call. Okay, so let me see. There's some updates on the shooting. Kamala Harris already gave a statement about the Texas shooting. 18 kids and 3 teachers. Okay, let me check something out. Let me see. Um, I'm gonna see if I can find. Um, okay, so he's about to be going live shortly. Okay, so what I'll do is when he goes live, we'll go to that. We'll go live. We'll go to that when he goes live with it. So 18 kids and 13 and 3 teachers. Wow. 40 billion to Ukraine. Invading Somalia. Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's horrible. Absolutely horrible. Um, yeah, this is. Hey, we need with all this going on, man. I really got to find something that's uplifting because yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff going on, but so in terms of the primaries that are going on, let me see. You think Luke? So here's what I think. Luke is going to. I think they're going to keep coming after him, and I think they're actually going to get him to back off and shut up because that's what they do. But I'm glad he said something. Yeah. I'm still down for Marcel beating. Yeah. So here's the thing: the machine. He's up against the machine. He's up against the machine. So I saw something about he's raised like 130,000. I think that's what he had said earlier, and I think Clyburn's raised millions. So there's that. Like I said, if you're up against the machine, that's the problem. Probably new info comes out every minute. In fact, yeah, I'm gonna keep. I'm gonna open up the phone so I can see what's happening. Actually, I also do want to check out the some of these other numbers. Um, but he's not up to date because today is so Marcel isn't up to date because today is Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, and I think Texas has a runoff. So in fact, let me start pulling up some of these. Um, yeah, let me take this down and let me go to Georgia primary. Because among other things, okay, so let me do this share with. Okay, stop that screen. Share. Okay, so now we're looking at with 18% report. In fact, let me try to see if I can get that bigger. Um, um, okay, there we go. I think that looks better. Okay, that didn't help. Okay, so with oh, I could just do it this way. So yeah, Brian Kemp. Oh, he's slaughtering Purdue, but it's still 18%. It's still real early with that. That one is real early. Um, I do have a question. So, is there any races in particular any of y'all are watching? So you know Marjorie Taylor Greene is up today. Kemp, okay, you like Kemp, and so yeah, with now the whole thing with governor is Marjorie. So Stacey Abrams uncontested. Like so, I guess they knew nobody goes against her. Like this is her position. This is hers. Nobody getting away. Nobody else is getting support because she's built. Like I said, she's built a hell of a machine in Georgia, and like her impact of the party is far beyond just the governor election. So I know they're backing her hard body. Let me see. So it's uncontested. Wow. They actually Herschel Walker. See, this is what I'm talking about. Just the team sports stuff. Like this dude, I don't even think he went to any debates. I don't think he even went to any debates. So when you ask him, what is your policies? I don't even think he has anything to say. Nothing. I don't think he has anything to say. But yeah, this is who they pick. Race here got called. Madison called. Listen, they came for him so hard. Like that was the Republicans that killed him. The Republicans said, "We're ending you. We're ending you right now." So Stacey Abrams has no pull. Just with do not listen, Jay. Do you see the ground machine she built on the ground? Like you know that she's the reason why the Senate, like she got the Senate for Democrats. Well, her and McConnell, because McConnell she helped get them to that point, and McConnell helped seal the deal by standing against like that. It goes back to that $2,000 checks because Trump was trying to get Trump and Warnock, not Warnock. I forget the other guy, but Kelly Loeffler and the other guy was it Purdue? They were saying, hey, yeah, let's get the $2,000 checks, and McConnell said no, no $2,000 checks. So like McConnell actually like threw the Georgia Senate. Yeah, and that's why I said she's been working. Oh no, she's not winning over Republicans, but the point is she's grown. She's built the numbers up that she doesn't need to. She's done such a significant job that she's getting people that were disaffected that weren't voting, getting them back to the polls. That's why the Republicans are in some serious trouble because there's a bunch of you got your. I wonder, did Kemp meet with? I think Kemp did meet with King. So Kemp, if I remember correctly, Kemp met with King Randall and Felicia Killings and Killer Mike, not all together, but he was. I think Felicia Killings and King Randall were together, and then he's also met with Killer Mike. So Kemp is willing to do a little bit more in terms of outreach, but anybody who's not willing to do outreach, especially to the black community, they're putting themselves at risk. especially if you're going up against the Stacey Abrams. Of course, you didn't go to any debates. Man missing. Yeah, yeah, like he can't. He has difficulty forming sentences. Okay, so 20%. Let me see what else. Okay, yeah, we pretty much knew Warnock was taking that. Secretary of State, Raffensperger. Okay. I'm not even sure who B. Nguyen is. Nguyen, Attorney General. Now, here's, you know which case, you know what I'm looking for? Wow. Wow. Okay, so now listen. Let me tell you what I just saw. Okay, it's on the screen right now. Let me tell you why this is so much. This is what's the 10th district. Still early, though. It's still early. It's still early, but the fact that he's in third place right now, wow. All that tap dancing for nothing. All that tap dancing for nothing. So let me tell you about Vernon Jones. Vernon Jones, who's running for the 10th district primary, was running for governor. He was running for governor, and he was doing all of the talking points. And Kemp isn't a real Republican; he's a rhino, and he didn't, all just he kissing Trump's butt. Thought he was going to get some kind of nod, some kind of shine. Now, mind you, Vernon Jones was a Democrat for so many years. I think he, like 2 years ago or so, he changed parties to become a Republican. But he's been just pushing all of the usual talking points. They said, okay, listen, you're not a serious candidate for governor. We need you to get out the way. They made him get out the way because he was running for governor. They said, listen, we're not backing you for governor. So then he dropped his governor race and then jumped into the 10th district. And Trump said, okay, I'll endorse you for that. And he's still losing. He got Trump's endorsement for the 10th district and he's still losing. Wow. All that tap dancing for nothing. For nothing. All that tap dancing, nothing. He got nothing for it. Okay, so Georgia Secretary of State, let me take a look at it. Georgia Secretary of State. Um, okay, so the Republican Secretary of State, it looks like he's pretty much running away from it, running away with it. Brad Raffensperger. And then in the Democratic primary, that's where this Nguyen is ahead, but it's still early, only 16%. Interesting. The Republicans got 21% showing. Democrats only 16% so far. But yeah, it looks like she's ahead right now, but it's early. It's very early. So yeah, Vernon Jones is. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Vernon Jones just moved up a little bit. He just moved up a little bit, so he's in second place. Okay, yeah, it's early. It is early. Wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. Did the numbers just go down? I could have sworn the numbers went down. Just like what? Okay. By the way, anybody that thought Marjorie Taylor Greene was out, apparently, nah. She ain't going nowhere. They may have thought, okay, they got rid of Madison Cawthorn. Next Marjorie doesn't look like she's going anywhere. 70% of the vote. Um, yeah, we're a powerful voting bloc in Georgia now. It's amazing, and inspiring. By the way, did you check out the woman Brittany Renner? She compared black men to the. Okay, wait, not Brittany Renner. No, not Brittany Renner. See, Brittany Renner is um Brittany Renner's that cute chick. Um, she's a professor. Brittany Cooper. Brittany Cooper. Yes, yes, Brittany Cooper. Black men to the Buffalo Shooter. Remember, this is the same woman that said she. Yes, and I'm actually gonna do a maybe not a whole stream on it, but I'll talk about that because I had that conversation before about why like that doesn't make any sense. Like the people that are making excuses for the okay, so I think this is a great time for me to finish this because I've touched on it. I've like danced around it when I talked about, my sugar addiction and how 2020 I was going all out. Okay, so let me tell you what happened in 2020. 2020, you got the pandemic and there's a lockdown, but I'm working. So I'm going back and forth to work. Um, but because everything else is closed, like I'm not going out, I'm not hanging out with anybody really, just at work really. So that I'm eating a lot. I'm eating a lot. I mean a lot. And let me just say, it's not just that I'm eating a lot. Like there's a difference between overeating and gluttony, and I was past gluttony. So, like I told you, I would be drinking. I'd have these drinks, the fruit drinks. I had, the orange juice, the iced tea. I'd go to the store because the supermarket right by the job. I go buy about four, get 2 for $5, right? Four bottles, 2 for $5 each. Well, they're 2 for $5. I'll get 4 bottles of lemonade, iced tea. Some lemonade, some with cranberry in it, some with yeah, different flavors. Boom, all of it packed to the gill with sugar already. Like was it like 60 grams of sugar per serving? Just ridiculous amounts of sugar. But it's juice, so it can't hurt me. Not to mention, like I said, Krispy Kreme opened up by the job, so that was one of the places it's open. You just grab the food to go, boom. So I'm ordering Krispy Kreme. I'll bring it to the job. Say, hey guys, I got donuts. I got 2 dozen donuts. Everybody else will take one donut and then leave me with like 13, 14 donuts. Okay, guess I got to eat them. I'm buying ice cream. Um, like these from ice cream sandwiches to those like personal servings of ice cream. I'm buying those, knocking off 2 of those. Like so, a 15-minute break, I can knock off an ice cream, a container of ice cream. At lunch, at lunch I can knock off maybe one, maybe 2 ice creams. Like I said, I was going in like ridiculous. I was overeating to a ridiculous amount. I get to the point like this. I do this throughout 2020. Get to early 2021, and there's a day I'm at the job, and like I gotta run to the bathroom. So I run, take a piss, leave. About 15 minutes later, I gotta take a piss again. I'm like, what the? Run to the bathroom. I do this like within the course of 6 hours. I'm going to the bathroom like 10 times. I'm like, that's great. Like, I was like, why am I going to the bathroom so much? So I look up the thing over excessive urination. Google it. Diabetes. I'm like, there's no way I got diabetes. I wind up going to the doctor that week and for a regular checkup, my physical. And he says, anything else? I go, well, I said, you might as well just check it. I was having some excessive urination over the weekend, but I don't think it's going to show up anything. He says, yeah, I don't think it's going to be anything, but let's just check. So your ideal A1C is supposed to be like under what? Not over 6.5. My A1C was 9.4. Yeah. I said, what the whoa. But that's what I looked back. As I looked at it, I said, you know what? Yeah, I get it. I get it. I was ODing. I was from Krispy Kreme to sugary juices to ice cream to pasta. Like I would cook pasta, the whole 16-ounce thing of pasta, and knock it all off in a sitting. Like I said, I was doing too much, doing way too much. Plus, I wasn't even working out like I used to. That was I think that was one of the main problems, that I was eating like I used to when I was working out like a monster. So I'm still just take this super high caloric intake, but I'm not doing the I'm not putting in the same amount of work to burn those calories off. But still, I was still overeating. So anyway, what I had to do from that point on is like, okay, if I want to beat this, I'm gonna have to do something serious because I'm pissed off right now. I got a 9.4 A1C. First time in my life I've ever been diagnosed with diabetes. I'm like, okay, this is not happening. I do a combination. At that point, I say, okay, sugar is out. It's just out. I'm just done. I eliminate sugar from my diet, and I eliminate starches, carbohydrates. Carbs are gone. Pasta, all of it's gone. Now I'm on like I'm just eating keto, meat, salads, vegetables. That's it. I start doing that, and I return to doing my intermittent fasting. So like I started intermittent fasting when I was inside. I would do 24 hours, like a 24-hour fast, start eating, 24-hour fast, start eating, 24 hours. Like so, I do wind up doing 2 to 3 days of fasting a week. Started doing that again in 3 months. In 3 months, and by the way, I never took the medication. They told me to take metformin. I said no, I'm not taking it. 3 months of keto and intermittent fasting. I got my A1C from 9.4 to 4.8. Maybe I think 4.9, 4.9. Yeah. So I got my A1C from 9.4 to 4.9 in 3 months. But I had to eat less, move more. Like this is what I literally had to do. But that's what like that further showed me how much of the problems we're facing with health are self-inflicted. Because like I tell you, I was ODing on food just to a ridiculous amount. It wasn't even funny how bad it was. And like other my coworkers would look at me, they'd be like, "You eating all that? You drinking all that juice?" But here in the States, like we just our serving sizes are not serving sizes. Our serving sizes that like what we call a serving size is multiple servings. But we've gotten accustomed to that, and that's why obesity is such a problem in the States, in the United States. Obesity is such a problem because we overeat like crazy here in the US. So when she like that whole thing about obesity being, listen, it's what we're doing. It's what we're eating. We don't realize it, but we're eating ourselves to death. And a lot of it is the garbage we're eating. Yeah, they give people medicine because they know people aren't going to change their diet. That's just fine, folks. Look, I need to get on. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, bro. Seriously, but yeah, I mean, like, it took that wake up call for me to realize I had been doing too much. But I could look at what I had done in 2020. I said, yeah, I see it. Like it wasn't even. There was no doubt in my mind how I got there. It wasn't like, huh? I wonder what happened. no. I knew what happened. Because I was just doing too much. Um, yeah, and she's a counselor, but that's what I'm saying. But like, if you're in America and you're used to overeating, you think not overeating is starving. And so one of the things I had to realize, I had to start eating out of plates because I had gotten, I'm telling you, bachelor life will kill you. I had gotten used to eating out of, Tupperware. So you got this big Tupperware. I put all the stuff in the Tupperware and then I just eat everything. Started eating from plates, and then I realized, okay, yeah, I'm done. All of the rest of this can go in the fridge. I put what I'm eating on this plate, eat that, and that's a serving. Even that may be more than a serving because sometimes I have a big plate. But once I'm confining it to a certain amount, then I can stop. But if you're buying fast food, like if you're buying these extra value meals or so-called extra value meals, those are not one serving. Like those things are just so, yeah, those are not one serving at all. Yeah, they're not even close to one serving. Um, yeah, he is. Oh yeah, yeah, just like Candace Owens. Okay, so no, Brittany Renner. Brittany Renner is the one. He's talking about Brittany Cooper. Brittany Cooper is, yeah, a different person. 2 years ago, I was borderline diabetic. Cut off the sugar and started intermediate fast. No fast food. Yeah, like I'm telling you how much it. Like I said, 3 months. 3 months. 9.4 to 4.9. Oh my god! Wow, that's fucking crazy. That's crazy. That's wow. That's horrible. This is man. Wow. Yeah, it's really bad. It's really bad. So, is he planning to speak at like 9 o'clock prime time? Because I see that they have it like that he's planning to speak shortly, and we'll go to that when he does. Um, so this guy Marcus Flowers here, he's running, and yeah, it looks like he's gonna win. I don't think he's gonna beat her in the general. In fact, yeah, just looking at the numbers, yeah, just looking at the numbers of who's shown up, the Republican primary has 24,000. Yeah, yeah, he's not winning. He's not beating her. Yeah, you could just look at the numbers right now and tell he's not beating her. But I guess it's just like AOC. Any people will run against her just to get clout. They know they're not going to beat her in this blue district, but by running against Marjorie Taylor Greene, he gets to build up a name for himself in Democratic circles. Um, Let me go back to the Secretary of State, see what that looks like. So, Attorney General Chris Carr. Wow, Jen Jordan. Okay, 21%. Beating you again, still comfortable lead. This one isn't as. I mean, he still has a lead, but It's not as runaway as some of these other races. Yeah, that wasn't even close. Wow. They really picked they really picked Herschel Walker. They really picked Herschel Walker. Fine. Kemp, of course. Okay. So it's Kemp versus Abrams. Herschel Walker versus. Huh. This is interesting. So what I'm looking at right now is I'm looking at who voted in the primary. And so far, with 26% of the vote in the Republican primary, there's 283,000 votes for the Republican. With 20% in the Democratic primary, it's 162,000. Huh. So now the question is this a matter of Democrats voting for the Republican just because they wanted it to be Herschel Walker because they're like Raphael Warnock is going to wipe the floor with him, or does this mean that's just that the Democrats are that outnumbered and that they're about to lose the Senate seat? That come November, they're losing Georgia. The worst part about the whole shooting, the parents all came to the gym, and that's how. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy to get there and find out that. Wow. But yeah, he ran away with this. Like this isn't even close. Yeah, like I said, it's 26 reported, and he's already the projected winner. Um, who else? But in fact, so what I'm actually going to do is while we wait for more results and Biden to speak, if anyone wants to come up audio only, I'm going to put the link in the chat. Um, oh, they only voted for him so all these racists can be like, I voted for a black person again. Because like he's a safe black person because he's not gonna he's keeps all the talking points, that's for sure. The guy that won with Warnock. Okay, in fact, okay, so look, sounds like Biden's about to come on. Let me see something. One with Warnock. Um, I forget his name. I'm trying to think of his name, but it's a white guy. I can't remember his name. Um, so it's about to.
I would not have to do this again. Another massacre. Uvalde, Texas. An elementary school. Beautiful, innocent, second, third, fourth graders. And how many scores of little children who witness what happened see their friends die as if they're on a battlefield, for God's sake. They'll live with it the rest of their lives. There's a lot we don't know yet. There's a lot we do know. The parents who will never see their child again, never have them jump in bed and cuddle with them. Parents who will never be the same. To lose a child is like having a piece of your soul ripped away. There's a hollowness in your chest. You feel like you're being sucked into it and never going to be able to get out. Suffocating. It's never quite the same. It's a feeling shared by the siblings and the grandparents and the family members and the community that's left behind. Scripture says, Jill and I have talked about this in different contexts, in other contexts. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit. So many crushed spirits. So tonight, I ask the nation to pray for them. Give the parents and siblings the strength in the darkness they feel right now. As a nation, we have to ask, when in God's name are we going to stand up to the gun lobby? When in God's name we do what we all know in our gut needs to be done? It's been 3,448 days, 10 years since I stood up at a high school in Connecticut, a grade school in Connecticut, where another gunman massacred 26 people, including 20 first graders at Sandy Hook Elementary School. Since then, there have been over 900 incidents of gunfires reported on school grounds. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Santa Fe High School in Texas. Oxford High School in Michigan. The list goes on, and the list grows when it includes mass shootings at places like movie theaters, houses of worship, as we saw just 10 days ago, the grocery store in Buffalo, New York. I am sick and tired of it. We have to act. And don't tell me we can't have an impact on this carnage. I spent my career as a senator and a vice president working to pass common sense gun laws. We can and won't prevent every tragedy, but we know they work and have positive impact. When we passed the assault weapons ban, mass shootings went down. When the law expired, mass shootings tripled. The idea that an 18-year-old kid can walk into a gun store and buy 2 assault weapons is just wrong. What in God's name do you need an assault weapon for except to kill someone? Deer aren't running through the forest with Kevlar vests on, for God's sake. It's just sick. And the gun manufacturers have spent 2 decades aggressively marketing assault weapons, which make them the most and largest profit. For God's sake, we have to have the courage to stand up to the industry. Here's what else I know. Most Americans support common sense laws, common sense gun laws. I just got off a trip from Asia, meeting with Asian leaders. And I learned of this while I was on the aircraft. And what struck me on that 17-hour flight, what struck me was these kinds of mass shootings rarely happen anywhere else in the world. Why? They have mental health problems. They have domestic disputes in other countries. They have people who are lost. But these kinds of mass shootings never happen with the kind of frequency they happen in America. Why? Why are we willing to live with this carnage? Why do we keep letting this happen? Where in God's name is our backbone to have the courage to deal with it and stand up to the lobbies? It's time to turn this pain into action. For every parent, for every citizen in this country, we have to make it clear to every elected official in this country, it's time to act. It's time for those who obstruct or delay or block the common sense gun laws. We need to let you know that we will not forget. We can do so much more. We have to do more. Our prayer tonight is for those parents lying in bed and trying to figure out, will I be able to sleep again? What do I say to my other children? What happens tomorrow? May God bless the loss of innocent life on this sad day. And may the Lord be near the brokenhearted and save those crushed in spirit, because they're going to need a lot of help, a lot of our prayers. God love you.
So, I mean, no, yeah, I mean, so I think he's really going to try to push for the assault weapons ban again. He's going to try to push back the old stuff that he did, but he's lying in terms of that it made stuff safer, because it didn't. That was just a bold-faced lie. And it doesn't address the fact that the people are getting worse. That as a whole, the people are getting worse. And nobody wants to address it. Because it's not, I guess it's not the sexy solution. The sexy solution is, okay, let's just pass a law and then everything will be better. The not so sexy solution is, we got to start looking in the mirror. And is anybody following the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial? Because I've heard, like, the bits and pieces I heard prior when they had their case in Britain and everything. He had sued this British tabloid. Was one thing. Hearing what's going on in their relationship, what he's saying she's doing, what she's saying he's doing, what the sister's saying they're doing, I'm like, these are grown adults who are just engaged in the most ridiculous, and these supposedly people who love each other, who are just doing just the most ridiculous stuff to each other. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with people? What is wrong with us as a society? Like that we have like so little ability to cope, to deal with each other, ourselves, our problems, each other responsibly and intelligently. Like just the stuff that's going on is like I stopped caring about. Listen, it's not even it's bigger than the trial right now, and so yeah, ain't nobody got time for it. Listen, I hear you.
I, Deborah Lipstadt,
I, Deborah Lipstadt,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, so it's like there's stories about them. They'll get high, like they'll get high. They'll start yelling at each other, screaming at each other, fighting each other, and at points she's telling him, like, "Why are you just walking away? Why don't you stay and fight?" It's like I'm seeing a whole bunch of stuff that's symptoms of bigger problems. It's like this. None of this stuff is happening in a vacuum, and like that's what I'm saying. And he's rich as Johnny Depp is rich as hell. He's talking about that like they're spending time on a private island, but yet like just he all that money can't buy sense. So so what are people that are struggling every day with paying bills, um, sending their kids to school, having enough food on the table, being able to pay for the medical bill, like losing jobs, keeping jobs, trying to keep jobs, trying to find jobs, like all of this stuff. If the richest people in this country have no ability to cope with problems, like what if the people in government are just complete and utter idiots? Like, what does that say just about this civilized? Like, we're really cocaine is a hell of a drug. Yes, it is. Amber Heard taught white woman victim card would work with famous white man. She miscalculated. Um, they better hope those bills get. But yeah, I mean, we're at a place where I'm looking at. I'm case in point. So I saw a story today of this 5 month this pregnant chick, 5 months old, 5 months pregnant, goes to McDonald's. They got her order wrong. She spends like 10 minutes in there yelling at people. She goes behind the counter. She's tossing stuff around. And she's on the phone with 911 while she's doing this. She called 911. She called 911 complaining about her order not being right. And she's in there doing foolishness. Oh, yeah, by the way, her sister comes in to try to calm her down. D, I see you've heard this one before. she was Victoria. Like, listen, by the way, who is Grady, Sheriff Grady's agent? Because I'm seeing him everywhere. I am seeing this sheriff everywhere. Every other week, he's got like this. Like, listen, this dude. Every other week, he's got some story on the news. Who's his agent? Like, if somebody knows who his agent is, tell him to holler at me. Like, I want to make some things happen. Please let me know who his agent is, because I gotta holler at them for real. But before she finishes her tantrum, She shows her stomach at the front, at the exit door of the McDonald's, and then starts twerking. Like, this is a grown woman. This is a grown woman acting like a child, like throwing a temper tantrum, like a 5-year-old does this. They can't get their way, they start just tossing stuff around. How are we in this society where we've got grown adults acting like little children? Jay, you're right. Every 2 days. Who is this Jews agent? Please, if somebody knows who his agent is, let them know. Holla at me. If somebody knows who this Jews agent is, I gotta get his agent. Yes, the pregnant chick, Sakugo. Absolutely. Same, yeah, that's the chick. That you're right. That's Florida. But it's spreading because it's not just happening in Florida now. The story that's the thing that happened in New York, the guy that got shot on the train in New York, from the accounts are there was a guy just pacing back and forth in the subway car, pulled out his gun, shot a guy for no reason. No reason. No words exchanged. This is what they're saying. There are other people on the subway car, and they just run to the other side of the car, and they're just hoping to survive after he shoots the guy. He shoots the guy, and then when the train stops, he just runs off. Like the problem is the people. We have got to we have got to do something about the people. Um, we have got to do something about the Goldman Sachs banker. Yeah. And I still don't know how they caught the guy. Okay, correction. So apparently they say he sold the gun to somebody who turned in the gun. If he doesn't sell, like if that's what really happened, if he doesn't sell that gun, they still don't know who he is. And assuming that he is actually the person, assuming that the person they have in custody is the guy that actually did it. Because that's not a guarantee. Yeah, man, these are going pretty slow. Okay, Lucy Macbeth. There goes Marjorie Taylor Greene, 42% reported. Yeah, she's running away with this. That's a done deal. Let me go ahead and look at Texas. So Ken Paxton and Rochelle Garza. Anybody following the Texas race at all? I want to see if Warnock numbers goes up or down from where he was put. Okay, yeah, I'll go check that out. Many people are spoiled. Yeah, corporal punishment. Yeah. Marguerite agreed. Okay, yeah, let me go check Warnock. Georgia. So 208,000, 250,000 reported. Okay, so I'm guessing that the percentage might have to do with mail-in ballots. It might be that. Okay, so you're in Texas. Okay. But yeah, but just looking at the numbers, just looking at the war numbers right now, it is not looking good for the Democrats. If these numbers hold up, I don't know. Okay, yeah, it's early. Number one, it's early. Number two, the percentages aren't the same. But it's appearing it's by no means a done deal. Like they're gonna have to fight if they want to keep the Senate. They are definitely gonna have to fight. Okay, Secretary of State. Let me check. Okay, so Arkansas. Let me see if there's anything interesting happening in Arkansas. Okay, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Yeah, that we pretty much knew she was gonna win. Still early, but it looks like she's gonna run away with that. That Chris Jones dude looked like Larry Elder for a second. I had to do a double take. John Bozeman, Natalie James. Okay, so U.S. Senate. Okay, he's the incumbent. Wow. So it looks like the Democrats are heavily outnumbered in it's Arkansas. That's not surprising. Let's do Alabama. So Katie Britt. Oh wow, just 1%. Yeah, as we go further west, it's gonna be they're further behind because they're probably they just closed. Kay Ivey. I don't remember everything I've heard about her, but just off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure it was bad. Okay, so this is interesting. So it's going to be a black woman from the Democratic Party running for governor of Alabama. But once again, it looks like the Democrats are heavily outnumbered. And then back to the Texas runoff. Paxton, Rochelle, Lieutenant Governor. Okay, Cisneros. That's interesting. Wow. Okay, so I forgot. Listen, this is why that's interesting. Okay, so now, if I remember correctly, Quella is a pro-abortion, no, pro-choice, pro-life Democrat, and there's a bunch of there's a bunch of there's a bunch of them that are pissed off at him because with Roe v. Wade about to go the way of the dinosaur, they're like they don't want him to. They didn't. There's actually a fight against him. Let me just double check that pro life. Yep. Yep. So yes, Cisneros, she actually has some backing because there's a bit more than usual trying to get rid of him because of his anti-abortion stance. And like right now with 71%, she actually has an edge on him. And I think she actually ran last time she ran, AOC didn't endorse her. Like she's a heavy progressive, but AOC didn't want to endorse her because AOC didn't want to buck the party orthodoxy. Anybody with a car and voting Democrats. Let me see something. Did she get endorsed? Who she got endorsed by this time? Jessica Cisneros. Okay, so she got endorsed by Bernie Sanders this time, Elizabeth Warren, Jamal Bowman, AOC, Katie Porter, Ayanna Pressley, Wendy Davis, Cyril Rodriguez, Justice Democrats, Emily's List, NARAL. So they're pro-abortion. Planned Parenthood Action Fund endorsed her. The Working Families Party endorsed her. Sunrise Movement. Texas College, J Street Pack, the cause, Move On. Oh yeah, she got a bunch of endorsements. The San Antonio AFL-CIO, Labor Council. I want okay, so okay, now I'm going to see what unions endorsed her. So Texas AFL-CIO endorsed her. Wow. Okay, so CWA Local 6143 endorsed her. The SEIU endorsed her. So SEIU is a super strong labor union. They're here in New York. They're Service Employees International United. They normally just endorse the incumbent. Normally, okay, you're the incumbent, we're for you. But it's the abortion issue. That's really what this is about. And so it looks like that's why she's going to win. She's in the right place at the right time against the right guy. Yep. It's got to be about the abortion issue. That's why they're backing her over the incumbent, because he's the incumbent. But they're willing to let him go just to send a message to the white women in their base that we're with you. We're fighting for you. So wow. Yeah, that one's a pretty interesting one. And then some state races. So let me just go back to Georgia. Kemp is projected. Walker's projected. Warnock. Still too close. Well, still too early. Not too close. Too early to call. McCormick. Lucy McBath. Mike Collins. Vernon Jones. Okay, so let me see where Vernon Jones is. Okay, he's not as far away as he was, number one. Number two, he seems to be solidly in second place now. And it's still, 26%. So it's still a lot of room left. Okay, she got it. She's projected. 44% reported. She's got 70% of the vote. Okay, which one? The one I was just at. The one I was just at right now is this is Georgia. The place with Jessica Cisneros versus Henry Cuellar, that's Texas. So let me pull that back up real quick. Texas went off. Texas 28th District, U.S. House. Cuellar is the incumbent, but he's a anti-abortion Democrat, and so they say he's is it San Antonio? Yes. Um, but he's like the last of the pro-life Democrats, and so they have to send a strong message to concerning the loss of Roe v. Wade. Definitely. But so yeah, it's still early, so it looks like this stuff is gonna be a while to come in. So I'm gonna go. Oh yeah, by the way, I want to last stream right as I was logging off. Want to shout out Joe DeGo for the super chat. Right as I was logging off, the super chat showed up. So I want to send out thanks to him for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Yeah, Bernie dragged his ass out here crying for her. But yeah, so it's going to be a pretty long night, and it seems that um, especially with the way they have the mail-in voting now, that we'll wind up waiting for some results. So I'm gonna go ahead and log off tonight. It's yeah, I was planning on going longer, but really the events of this afternoon aren't the best, and it's a really messed up situation. It really is. You should check out my cell tonight. Yeah, definitely. So I just want to say, everyone, thank you for checking out the stream. Um, oh, he's him and Falk. Okay, yeah, I'll check it out. So thanks for everyone for checking out the stream. Yeah, it's yeah, it's a mess of stuff going on in the world. Spend some time with your families. Enjoy your families. Appreciate your families. Love your families. Love your friends, your people. Um, and stay safe out there. Seriously, stay safe. It's it's not easy, and there's a lot of people out here who don't have good intentions for others, and it appears that a lot of people don't even need a reason. So try to. I hope everyone has a good night, as good as we can be with all the crazy stuff that's going on in the world. Thank you for checking out the stream, and I'll definitely see y'all next time. Have a good night, everyone.